one day somebody does something unspeakable to someone else, to someone you hardly knew, and you do something about it, because you can.
This story is brought to us from the Kansas City Star. Members of the Urban Council spoke about the need for emergency police accountability following a string of incidents, including calling for the termination of Kansas City police officer who has killed 3 people on duty since joining the department in 2017. Gwendolyn Grant, CEO and president of the Urban League of Greater Kansas City, said during a Monday press conference that the Coalition of Civil Rights Organizations sent a letter to the Board of Police Commissioners not only calling for the termination of Officer Blaine Newton, but that his peace officer's certification be rescinded. Said the question is, should this officer continue to carry a badge and a gun under the authority of Kansas City Police Department and the state of Missouri? And our answer is a resounding no, he should not, said Grant. The open letter, which was released to the media during the event on last Monday, reads that the standard for officers is fitness for duty, not whether a prosecutor filed charges. Jackson County Prosecutor Melissa Johnson announced in January that her office could not pursue charges against Newton for a June 2023 shooting that left 2 dead and a 3rd injured. Johnson said in a release that she could not pursue a criminal charge, citing a Missouri law. However, Johnson's release cited her concerns over Newton's continued employment with the office and said that those concerns had been shared with the police department's leadership. Yep, we heard you. Bye. Grant said that the organizations understood why those charges could not be pursued, but now it was time to turn their attention to the police department itself. She said, "We have numerous infractions that we can see in the media, yet you take no action. So in this letter, we believe that you know the standard for an officer to keep his or her job should be a fitness for duty, and it should not be a situation where he's able to retain that job simply because the prosecutor could not file charges under the rule of law." The letter calls for Newton to also be decertified by the Peace Officer Standards and Training Committee, or POST Committee, of Missouri, so that he could not work in law enforcement in the state moving forward. Grant said they are also asking for internal police reform in the police department to change policies that could call for the termination of officers based on certain criteria. The letter cites those criteria as cumulative patterns of force, repeated critical incidents, and escalating risk, demonstrated inability to exercise restraint and judgment consistent with constitutional policing, and the officer's total record as a peace officer, including foreseeable impact on public trust, safety outcomes, and civil liberties, or liabilities, civil liability. Foreseeable because, hey, he did this, he'll do it again. The Coalition of Organizations letter also requests a written response from the Kansas City Board of Police Commissioners asking for an action plan and a timeline for termination proceedings, confirmation that they will submit a request for post-decertification, and a timeline for reviewing and revising discipline policies. They said, we're asking them as a responsible employer to have strong disciplinary procedures for officers who do not act within the confines of the law or the policies. They don't care. She said they have the power to change their personnel policies, their disciplinary policies, and to address the concerns that we have. The coalition also mentioned an open letter they submitted to Missouri Senator Maggie Nurenburn, a Democrat from Kansas City, after she announced that she would not sponsor the nomination of Heather Hall for appointment to the police board. The letter urges Governor Nurenburn to continue to oppose Heather Hall's nomination. Nurenburn, in the letter obtained by the Kansas City Star, pointed directly at Kansas City's unusual lack of control over police operations for her refusal to confirm Hall. The police department is controlled by a 5-member board, with 4 members appointed by the governor. Kansas City Mayor Quentin Lucas occupies the 5th spot. The letter from the Urban Council reads that the police board holds extraordinary authority over policing, including disciplinary oversight, policy direction, and exercise of power that directly affects civil liberties. Commissioners must therefore be independent, objective, and committed, first and foremost, to the rule of law and equal justice, not to institutional loyalty or political alignment. It's all political, dude. Miss Hall's record raises serious concerns on these points, they said. Hall's appointment has brought criticism from police accountability advocates who question her objectivity because she is married to a former Kansas City police sergeant. In its letter, the coalition said it is deeply troubled by the continued lack of representation on the police board from communities east of Troost Avenue, which has been considered the city's racial dividing line, or across the tracks. The letter highlighted the disproportionate level of policing enforcement that occurs in those neighborhoods east of Troost Avenue. I'm not familiar with KC, but I guess Troost Avenue is what we would call across the tracks. You know, you have the rich folk, and then you have maybe a boulevard, MLK Boulevard or whatever it is, and then you have the po folk, as they call them down south. Though the po folk, the poor people. And the rich people always have it better. I mean, they do. I've done a lot of cop watching, and I rarely see cops in the upscale neighborhoods cruising around looking for people walking down the street. But you go to the lower neighborhoods, the poor people's neighborhoods, you always see cops stopping people. Come here, hey, you got anything in your bag you want me to know about? Give me that. And, you know, well, he could be a felon. He could be a probation or parole with drugs. He could be. Zzz. Reel him in. Because a lot of times homeless people or even just people that are lower income don't always know their rights. And they think a cop comes up, you just got to hand him your bag and let him search. No. You need a warrant. Are you on probation or parole? If you say yes, the conditions of your probation or parole just might put you in a spot you have to be searched. But if you say, no, I've never been on probation or parole. Okay, well, anything in your bag? Let me see it. No, get a warrant. That's what I try to tell people all the time. I'm going to search your car. No, you're not. What probable cause do you have? What did you see in my car that makes you want to search it? Well, I pulled you over. Okay, I'm not on probation or parole. And by the way, nobody ever records the cops when they're sitting on the curb. They just sit there and then they see me recording. They go, dude's recording. Yeah, I'm recording you sitting on the curb while a cop goes through your car. And not all cops are bad. I know that's an argument, and I welcome that argument. We always have it with people. But I don't think all cops are bad, but there are cops out there that are doing wrong. And it's going to take a camera to catch them. Because this is still the United States of America. We still have the Bill of Rights. And we still have to, you know, I'm an Army veteran, and I'm serious. I served time for these rights. And I want everyone in the community to be able to not only exercise those rights, but have those rights protected for them. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know about this story, what you think.